If you've recently purchased or are looking to purchase something like the Blackmagic PIXUS 6K or one of Panasonic's cameras and are wanting to use it to shoot open gate video on Anamorphics or other PL mount glass, an adapter is something that you'll absolutely need. And when I first learned that they had adapters with built-in variable NDs, I was instantly sold and knew that that would be a pretty affordable and very simple solution to make my PIXUS as fun and enjoyable to shoot as I was used to with my FX6. And when we finally got the PIXUS, I couldn't actually use it for a few days because I didn't have an adapter and I don't have any L-mount glass. And so I ended up purchasing both of the current options for an L-mount to PL mount converter with a drop-in variable ND filter. And so today I wanted to dive in on these adapters, put them head to head, and give you insight on which one is the right adapter for you if you are looking to make this purchase in the future. Before we jump in, my name's Austin. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I help run a video production company based out of Omaha, Nebraska called Glory Visuals. We specialize in commercial and corporate video production, and we recently picked up this bad boy right here. We've been using the FX6 as our primary workhorse and still love it, but wanted something to be able to shoot open gate on Anamorphics and not have to crop out half of our horizontal resolution when delivering in a 2.35 or even a 16:9 aspect ratio. So we picked up the PIXUS, and again, the main reason I was a little hesitant at first was because it did not have internal NDs, but this really solved that issue for us. Now, I'll be honest, I have been using the Mica filter for about the past 2.5 to 3 weeks since we've gotten our PIXUS, and the main reason that I bought this one, I actually purchased the Mofage first, but I bought this one because I realized that the Mofage was shipping from China and there was no way that I was gonna get it in time to use this on a project. Whereas the Mica filter was available on Amazon, 2-day shipping, I knew I could get it quick, and so I decided to just keep the Mofage on order and really just send back whichever one I didn't like. But in today's video, I wanna compare the two and really decide which one I'm going to keep, which one I'm going to send back, and hopefully that gives you some insight on which one is the right adapter for you. Before I compare, I wanna have something to compare to, so I'm just gonna go ahead and open the Mofage. And one quick note, this did ship from China. I would maybe recommend ordering from B&H, although it is on a special order, like 2 to 4 week turnaround, because maybe then you won't have stuff like this happen. This packaging came just absolutely destroyed. It was shipped UPS and then transitioned into USPS's hands. Box is all banged up, so I don't feel like it'll have any bearing on the quality of the actual product. Okay, well that's interesting. So first thing I noticed, unless I'm missing something, is that the Mofage did not even ship with a back cap, which is really interesting. So there is actually already dust inside here on the glass element. Is super dusty from just being in the packaging and shipping overseas without a back cap. So that's kind of an L, in my opinion, for Mofage. There's nothing else in the box. So this was literally just sitting on this foam right here, just completely open to the elements. So interesting. The Mica, on the other hand, does come with a back cap. Okay, interesting. The Mofage definitely is weightier than the Mica by a good margin. It does feel a lot more premium. The plastic trays that hold the Mica filters have some rattle to them. They are very cheap feeling and lightweight. There's like a little bit of a rubber seal around where the ND filter slots in there. So it's a little bit of a rubber seal there. The Mofage does not seem to have any type of sealing. Oh, yep. It does. It's actually on the inside here. The tray that houses the glass is metal as well. So this feels much more premium. Real quick to go over the costs. So right now, the Mofage Poco, if you're just getting the clear glass and the ND, no, mist filters, no streak filters, just the basic kit, right now on B&H is $439 as opposed to the Mica at $269. So there is quite a price jump from the Mica to the Mofage. However, what I would say is you get what you pay for. Apparently you didn't pay quite enough to get a back cap on the Mofage. I'm not sure if this was a fluke or if this is actually how they ship all of them. I may actually email them because that kind of bugs me. I don't have L-mount back caps laying around. However, the rest of the Mofage feels extremely premium. Every bit of it is metal. The finish definitely looks better and feels better. Support plate extends further. I don't know if you would consider that a pro or a con. May get in the way of some cages or things like that. But for me, that's totally fine. Overall, first, getting the Mofage out of the box, impression is that it is definitely more quality than the Mica adapter. As I was testing the Mica adapter, that I found was very interesting and a little concerning was that within the first couple shoots of me using this, the PL mount lock pin right here actually is screwed in instead of attached from underneath somehow. And it actually wiggled loose and was just kind of jiggling back and forth in place. And I had to take a flathead, a tiny little flathead screwdriver and tighten it back down. And that was just after a couple shoots. Another thing I would say, I just had to grab a lens real quick, is that when mounting this to the Mica adapter, it seemed like that's locked, but then there's still more to turn and it feels like I'm kind of like over cranking it, but it's not fully tight yet. And then, I don't know, it just feels kind of like there's a little bit of play when I'm tightening this down where it seems like it's locked, but then it can go further than that. We have the DZO Film Octopus adapters for our Sony cameras. I've never had that feeling or that issue with those. They seem like when they hit the end of their lock, they're locked in. You don't have any more play there. So that's just another thing that I noticed with the Mica filter, but let's test it on the Mofage. Okay, so I'm actually gonna put this on the camera. So I actually want to put it on the camera so that I can get an idea and actually like ratchet it down here. All right, so it definitely locks in tight. Yeah, it definitely feels like there's less of a, after it's locked, being able to then tighten it further, and it feels like when it's locked, it's locked. When you hit that lock, there's a hard wall there, it doesn't go any further past. Another thing I like, just as I'm installing this and using it, I prefer the knobs on here. Now these you can actually take off. They're just screwed in, which even as I'm like doing this, like there's a little bit of play here. It just feels cheaper. And I would say if this was like 150 bucks, this would for sure be an acceptable level of build quality. But for almost $300, it definitely feels significantly cheaper than the Mofage. The button to release the Mofage is also metal, which I think feels much nicer. There isn't really a button to release. Well, I guess there is. So there is this little button here on the Mica, but again, it's plastic. The whole drop-in filter is plastic. And so the Mofage overall definitely wins the battle in terms of build quality. Now I want to take the standard glass filter off. I'm gonna have to clean that because it's pretty disgusting from not being protected on the way here. Another nice thing about the Mofage, as you can see here, is that this ring to adjust the ND filters is actually mod 0.8. which is the same pitch as any of your cinema lenses gears. So you can mount a follow focus to this, and you can wirelessly do iris pulls, which is really cool. This system has ways that it actually makes it better for certain use cases than an FX6. If you've got a team and a remote puller and you need to do an iris pull, you'd have to add this system to the FX6 anyways to be able to do something like that. Another thing on the Mica that I feel like really does not scream quality is the dial for adjusting the strength of the ND. So this little dial here is how you adjust the strength. And the dial is so tiny. I mean, it's so tiny compared to the one on the Mofage that bumping it just a millimeter will adjust the strength of your ND. And it's really hard to get, there's kind of clicks in there, but then some places it's smooth. There's a catch at one point. It does not feel like it will last for years of use. Gets the job done, it works great, but I would definitely be concerned with this little tiny plastic dial versus this big, beefy, very smooth, stepless dial. I can't tell honestly if the Mica is stepless or not, if it's supposed to be like clicked or declicked, but it feels like there's kind of supposed to be clicks, but then sometimes there's not. So overall, I would say build quality wise, the Mofage is a clear winner. I would also say in terms of looks, the Mofage is a winner. However, I really wish that there was any other option besides purple. I would definitely be down for an all black version. I would be down for a black and silver version. I would be down for a black and gold version, a black and red, black and yellow version, anything but purple. Why is it purple as I'm wearing it? It's not that I hate purple, okay? I got purple on my shirt, but I'm just saying when I show up to a set, I'm not just like dying for my equipment to have bright purple on it. It doesn't really scream, I'm a professional. It does look very nice, but the color is the one thing I would say the Mica for sure has over the Mofage. So far, the Mica wins on price, it wins on color, and it wins in a way on weight. If you care about every last gram that you're going to save, the Mofage is definitely heavier than the Mica. So if you're trying to make the lightest possible rig, you're gonna put it on a gimbal, and that every gram matters. The Mica may be right for you, but in every other area, the Mofage definitely is the winner. Now, the main thing and the thing that's the most important is what does it actually look like? How is the image quality on both of these adapters? So I'm gonna take this camera outside, I'm gonna use the same lens, I'm gonna use the same camera, and I'm gonna show you at each stop of exposure what the image looks like. That way you can see a side-by-side if there's any major color shift. And I'm not gonna do any post-color correction. I'm only going to use a color space transform to convert the color space from Blackmagic Gen 5 film to Rec 709. Now, one thing I want to touch on before we go see some test footage is how much ND variation you actually get with each of these packages. And I actually just had to look this up because it was really confusing to me. On their package and on the wheel, it says 0.3 to 2.4 stop is what it says on the case for the Mofage filter. And I saw that and I'm like, oh crap, did I get the wrong thing? I need way more than 2.4 stops of ND if I'm shooting outside in daylight, 24 frames per second, 180 shutter, and I wanna shoot at T2.8 or T3.2. I'm gonna need more ND than that. And the Mica filter advertises 1 to 9 stops. It is actually an ND strength of 1 stop to 8 stops of cutting out light coming into your camera sensor. That equates to ND 0.3 to ND 2.4. But they added the word stop on here. That was a little confusing to me. It should just be ND 0.3 to ND 2.4. And those numbers are the ones that are on the gear. It doesn't go based on stops, it goes based on ND strength. So that equates, like I said, to 1 to 8 stops of ND, whereas the Mica filter has 1.5 to 9 stops of ND. So the Mica filter is a little bit stronger and has a 0.5 stop greater range. However, that's not an issue for me. I just went outside, cranked this baby up to 0.8, and it was more than what I needed for a bright day-lit scene shooting wide open on this lens in 24 frames per second. So I personally will very rarely see myself needing more ND than 8 stops. And I actually appreciate the half stop extra that the Mofage gives you on the low end, because I've already had instances where I'm filming inside and I'm maybe moving inside and outside. And the one downside of these filters is having to swap out the clear for the ND. And so if this can help me in those small percentages of instances where 1.5 is a little bit too much and I'm having to raise the ISO on my camera, be able to just drop this all the way down and have enough light to shoot at my base ISO, I would rather have that than that extra stop of darker ND at the high end, which I clearly don't typically need. Let's get into some test footage to see what the color reproduction is like at all of the different strengths of these two ND systems. Leave a comment down below of which filter you like better overall with all things considered, and which one you're going to pick up or which one you already own. Let us know if you have feedback or thoughts, or if there's something I missed in this video. I love hearing all of the feedback and getting to interact with you in the comments section. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this content, like the video, hit the bell, whatever you want to do. I just appreciate you being here. Again, I'm Austin from Glory Visuals, and until next time, cheers. All clean.